Hey gang, welcome back to Uncle Ron's Airsoft, where we will be discussing the legacy airsoft weapon systems manufactured by my most beloved of manufacturers, Western Arms. In a response to requests from our friends in the Deutschland, we will be disassembling the frame of this 1911, which I have based on an SCW-1. So to you guys in Germany, Guten Tag, and we're going to go ahead and tear this one down so you guys can see how to do it on your own, and then we'll do a reassembly so that you can use this as a guide when you're working on your own guns. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your slide group off. So here is where your bushing wrench comes in handy. This way, this helps you to not mar your frame when you're taking everything apart. So of course, we're going to eject our magazine. You're going to bring the frame back to that takedown notch here. We'll flip it over and take this end of your bushing wrench, and then you see where this is exposed, you push, and then once that's pushed, you line it back up again. Okay, once that's pushed, let's push it again, so it pop back in. You can use that end of your bushing wrench to just push it out. Now it's out of the gun. Slide group comes off. You can set that, here, let's put that over here, out of the way. Now what you're left here is just the lower, which is what you guys wanted me to work on. Okay. So you're gonna need to gain access to all those pins, and it helps if you go ahead and get your grip screws out of the way. Uncle Ron had to put his old man glasses on so we could see what he was doing. Let's go ahead and take these grip screws off. Get them all out of here. Get our grips out of the way. Remove those bushings. Okay. Now you've got the frame there. You've removed your grip panels. Let's get this bushing wrench out of the way. So now you're going to want to get your grip safeties off. So you're going to have to cock that hammer back, because that's how this comes off. Pull that up. Now keep an eye here. Now that your hammer is in the full cocked position, you should be able to wiggle that up. Now that it's popped up a little bit, you can get your screwdriver underneath. Make sure you take your finger and block this plunger pin from shooting out of the tube, because they're a pain to find. Okay, there. So now this has come off. It was plunger tube. The skinny end is still in there. Let's come out. So there are your plungers. There's the plunger spring. And now what you're going to want to do here is take your mainspring housing off. So let's take tension off that mainspring. This is the mainspring in here and inside, and that's the mainspring housing. So once you release the tension on that mainspring housing, the mainspring housing actually has to come off. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is tap out that mainspring housing pins, or pin rather. Okay. Mainspring housing pin is out, so you want to set that aside. And then now mainspring housing itself is going to slide out. And there you have it. So now with the mainspring housing out, make sure you take the other half of your ambisafety off. So now what's left? Let's push these pins out. Well, here, this will also make things easier for you guys to see. So we're going to go ahead and remove the beaver tail there. Beaver tail comes out. So now that exposes the sear spring. That comes out. Let's get that out of the way, and then let's push these pins out. Top one is for your hammer. Now your hammer is free. And look at that. That is beautiful. Stainless steel bearing hammer. Love it. Okay. So now you got to remove your guts in here. So what you're going to want to do is push down the disconnector button. Disconnector button is pushed down, and then here is the other pin here. This goes through your sear and your disconnector. And just push it straight out. Set it aside. Then there's the reset. There's the reset lever for your valve door. Put that out of the way too. Then disconnector bar. And the sear is still stuck in there, so let's grab that. Use your tweezers, grab your sear. Okay, and then now the disconnector button needs to come off. So we'll grab that. There's your disconnector button. And then there's that reset spring for that. So just about everything's been disassembled at that point. If you want to go further, then you can take the trigger out, and I'll do that here. So at this point, the only thing holding your trigger in place is the actual magazine release. So get the appropriately sized screwdriver. What has been rent asunder must now be reassembled, so let's put this thing back together, guys. Make sure the orientation of your trigger is correct. Go back to the other side. Reinsert your magazine catch. Depress. Oh wait, actually, you don't need to depress now. All you have to do is tighten it. It's back in there. Ready to go. Okay. Let's proceed with the rest of this stuff. Okay. Look at this orientation here. Put your spring back in, and then there's your disconnector. Now you're going to want to put your disconnector lever back in. You're going to need long tweezers for that, these guys. Get that. Then hold it here. And at this point, you need to see that bar. on. Sorry for that, guys. I didn't have enough light, and with my bad eyeballs, it was difficult for me to see the mounting hole there for the disconnector, so I did that off camera. It's now back in place where it needs to be. Next thing we do is we're going to want to put the sear back in. Grab the sear with your tweezers. And then you're going to want that pin. You also want that valve reset block back in, the valve reset lever back in, so you put it in there. Let's fix that. Okay, so at this point we've got the disconnector bar back inside, and then the sear is in place as well. Drive your pin through. Then verify that you've got movement. You can see it's moving there. Go ahead and take your leaf spring, and the leaf spring just sits directly on top of everything. That's the correct orientation for that. Okay. Let's put the plunger tube back together again. Skinny end goes there. Spring goes in the middle. Here's the fat part. Okay, plunger tube is back together. I want this guy. Let's put our leaf spring back on. Okay, gotta line that up. There. That's in place. A lot of times it's easier to get that second safety in, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Here's my beaver tail. Okay, beaver tail's in place. Here's something that's important. You want to make sure that your strut, that hammer strut, actually goes in there and seats on top. So here's how you can do a quick check to make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to. Pull your trigger, pull the trigger. Okay, that's all in place properly. Now you need the frame pin for the mainspring housing. And to put it back in, you don't really need to use a punch anymore. Just take the flat end of your hammer, push it down into place. That's it. Now to finish putting this together, you need to put those safeties back in. So this uses MEU type safety, so the pin here actually has a protrusion here with a notch so that it locks into the offhand safety. Go ahead and put it in. Now you're in the up position. And remember when we took this apart, we had to have the hammer down, or the hammer in the full cock position. So we're gonna do that again. That way I can get my other safety in place. So here's the other safety. Okay, and you can see they're both in the same position now. Both the offhand and the left-hand side. So you're going to want to take a tool to reach down here so that you can depress the plunger. You're going to depress the plunger's depressed, and now you can feel that the left-sided safety wants to go in. Pull your tool out of the way. You should be able to just push it down. And now you can verify function. You hear a nice click, click. Perfect. Now at this point, all you have to do is put your grips back on. All right, gang, thanks for watching. That ends the disassembly and reassembly of a Western Arms 1911 frame. So what we did was we looked at the internals of the chassis of this 1911. So you guys saw where all the parts went. There's a ton of stuff in there. So just look at that video slowly and watch along with your own gun. The most frustrating thing that you will encounter here is when you try to reassemble the weapon is getting your disconnector lever to notch back into the hole for the disconnector button. I didn't show it here in detail on the video because in order for me to show it while I'm doing it, I would have to use a headlamp on the brightest setting so that I can see where everything is inside, and that would have just washed out on video. So that's why it looks the way that it does here. So if you guys have any questions, you can post it in the comments. This particular gun, I'll go into detail about why I built it the way that I did and why it's running the SCW1 firing pin system and all the details on it and what I've done and where all the parts came from. All right, thanks again for watching, guys. It's been fun. We'll do it again.